guys, welcome or welcome back to Petite Perspective. It's just me again today, and this week I am giving you my mid-year freak-out tag. I saw a couple of the book girlies do this, so of course I had to jump on the trend, because if the book girlies are doing it, then so am I. Okay, so the first tag in this video that we're going to talk about is the best books of 2024 so far. So I think I've only had 2 5-star reads this year, so for 6 months into the year, that's pretty low. The first of those was, of course, Miss Magnolia Park's Into the Dark. In fact, she was a 6-star read, and I'm sorry, but there is absolutely no one that can tell me anything different. This book, this series, everything Jessa Hastings has ever written is quite possibly the best thing to ever exist. So the second book that gets mentioned in this is Love in Other Words. I recently read this, and I'd never read anything by Christina Lauren, but this book was perfection, and you will see this book will come up again later in this video because I just loved every single thing about it. There was nothing about this book that I didn't love, and I think this will become one of my many recommendations that I give to people. This is also one of the best books. This again, you will be seeing again, this is Divine Rivals. This is the American copy. I do have 2 copies of this. The way this book was written, I just loved everything about it. There was nothing in this book that I didn't love. For example, this is one of the quotes, because of course he would have one of those sorts of laughs, the ones you can't hear but not the ones you couldn't hear and not feel in your chest. Like, imagine like someone describing the way that you laugh as that. I just love this book. If you haven't read Divine Rivals, please read it. It's just perfection in a book, and yeah, it's again one book that I will be recommending to absolutely everyone. Catherine Center next, The Bodyguard. I'd never read anything by Catherine Center. As you all know, I'm not the romance lover in this friendship. That is all G. I like to dabble in the old romance section, but I thoroughly enjoyed this book. It was pretty much just like a rom-com, like an old school rom-com film in book form. I loved everything about it. I thought Hannah was just really funny. She kept making me laugh, and Jack was just, I just loved them both. So yeah, big fan of this, and obviously this didn't come out this year, but I'm so glad I read it, and I think I will be reading more by Catherine Center. I also oddly quite like their covers, because they're just so pretty and bright, and I think it makes a difference. The last book that I'm classing as one of my favourite books of 2024 so far is another book I will be recommending to absolutely everyone, and that is Coco Mellor's Cleopatra and Frankenstein. Georgia made me read this book. What made me? She recommended this book to me, and I'm so glad she did, because I loved it so much. It was just, nothing happened but everything happened at the same time, and it was following people's lives, this whole group of people, and just seeing how their lives kind of went on, and how they interacted with each other, and how kind of different things played out, and how that affected their relationships, and who they were as people, and how they grew and developed. And it was just quite possibly one of the best books I have ever read, let alone this year. And yeah, it's definitely one I will be recommending. Next is Best Sequel. Now, I haven't read many sequels this year. In fact, I've only read one. Well, I've read another one of the Shatter books, but I'm not going to class that. So I'm going with The Final Gambit as my best sequel so far this year, mainly because it's the one out of the 3 sequels I read that I didn't hate. It was okay. I'm glad I finished the series. I'm not gonna read the spin-off books from them. But I do love Jennifer Lindbar's writing. She's really easy to get through. I will be finishing the Natural series this year. I've only got Bad Blood left, so I think that probably will top this as my best, and hopefully we'll read some more sequels this year, because I have got quite a few to kind of get through. Okay, so new releases I haven't read but want to. The first one of these is going to be First Lie Wins. You know me, I love a thriller. Of course I'm going to want to read this one. I think it's more the cover and the description kind of really intrigues me. So I'm going to try not to look at anyone else's thoughts and opinions on it, and just kind of go in a bit blind, and then see kind of how I feel about it, which I'm trying to do a lot more. Well, to be fair, I do it a lot with the books I read. I do tend to go off recommendations from the book girlies, but normally I don't really kind of look at what Goodreads has to say, just because I think it's better to kind of make your own assumptions, because like I've said before, not everyone has to like the same book as you. So If you like a book that's completely different to everyone else, that is absolutely fine. And there's nothing wrong with that. The next one is Darling Girls. Again, saw this recently. I think it was Sarah was reading it or someone was reading it, and I thought this looked really good. And I really want to read that. The Ministry of Time. Now this, I saw Hayley had read this and she loved it, and it looks like it almost gives Tomorrow vibes, which is definitely a book I still need to read, but I'd like to read Ministry of Time as well. It looks like it's kind of, you know, the way it's written sounds beautiful. Hayley was kind of reading out some quotes and stuff, and it made me really want to read it just based on how it was written and the way that things were described in the book, and everything like that. So I'm definitely adding that one on my list of things to get very soon. Another one is Just for the Psalm by Abby Jimenez. I've never read any Abby Jimenez books, but they seem right up my street. I'm a non-spice romance reader. Do you know what I mean? Like, I like a 90s rom-com vibe, and her books seem to be kind of non-spicy, so I want to give her a go. I'm hoping to find some new favourite authors this year, because when you've read all the backlog of all of your other authors, it makes it very hard to then try and find new ones. And another one that I've seen recently is Heartless Hunter. It's like a YA fantasy. It looks really interesting, and the cover looks really cool. Again, they say don't judge a book by its cover. I extremely judge books by their covers. If you have a cute cover, I'm gonna read you. If your cover is ugly or has naked men on the front, I'm not touching you. So they're the new releases that have already come out this year that I'm really excited for. Now, the things that I'm really excited for that have yet to come out: Blue Sisters by Coco Mellows. The cover just, again, looks beautiful. It will sit alongside Cleopatra and Frankenstein exquisitely, and it just, again, sounds like a very similar vibe, just following the mundane life of like four sisters, and everything that kind of comes with that, and grief, and touching on subjects like that. So that looks really interesting, and I think it's going to be a really good read. Another one is 1,000 Broken Pieces, which is the sequel to Tilly Cole's 1,000 Boy Kisses. I am not excited because I know it's going to break me, but I'm looking forward to reading that book. I loved 1,000 Boy Kisses. It broke me into a million pieces, but it was just exquisite. And this one touches on a grief, but from a different perspective, and how like the sister kind of deals with losing her sister, and all of the things that kind of come with that. I think there probably is romance kind of sprinkled in there, but again, it's YA, so it's not anything too much. But it just, I think, is going to be a really emotional and educational book, I think, and I'm really looking forward to reading that. And then the last of my anticipated new releases for the second half of the year is The Rom-Commers by Catherine Zenta. There's nothing else to say apart from that I really love The Bodyguard, and I want to give her another go and try reading some of her other books. That's the only reason that I want to read that one. Biggest disappointment so far. So my biggest disappointment so far comes from one of my favourite authors. J.P. Delaney is quite literally one of my favourite authors of all time. But however, I don't know, there was just something about this. I was so disappointed with how it was kind of played out. I read it quite quickly, which was good, but it, you know, I do with every one of J.P. Delaney's books. There were just so many things about it that I just didn't really enjoy, and there were things that really annoyed me. So yeah, so I would say this was my biggest disappointment so far. There have been other books that I've given kind of 2 stars to, but I didn't necessarily have those books on like a pedestal as much as I have every single one of J.P. Delaney's books on a pedestal. So I wasn't as disappointed. Well, I was disappointed, but this for me is the most disappointing, because I just love every single one of his books, and this one kind of threw me off. Oh, also, it annoys me that this one is blue and every other one of his books has a grey cover with red writing, but this one's blue. Like, that's just annoying. Like, they can't all sit together on a shelf now because they're not the same colour. Why would you do that? Biggest surprise for this year, this is a recent book, so this will be a recent surprise, is Strange Sally Diamond by Liz Nugent. I wasn't sure, like, when I read the back of this, it sounded like exactly kind of the book that I wanted to, like, the kind of book that I would be interested in. But when I started reading it, it kind of felt like it was taking like a bit of a different turn, and it was the way it was being written. So it's told from the point of view of Sally, but the way that it's like told is very different to how I've ever seen before, and I think that is what makes this such a good book, and probably my biggest surprise in that I would love it, just because of the way it's written. And but just wasn't sure kind of going into it if it was going to be something that I was going to really love, what I was going to think, but actually I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Do check if there are trigger warnings somewhere. Please check the trigger warnings on this. There are some kind of dark topics included in this book which are quite hard hitting, even for someone like me who's kind of had a very untraumatic upbringing. So yeah, but honestly, if you check them and you're fine with kind of the content that kind of gets mentioned, please read it, because it is, honestly, it's beautifully written. It's so insightful. It really shows kind of how things can affect you and the kind of ways that you can kind of block things out as you get older, based on things that have happened to you when you were a child. So big fan of this book. Like I said, new favourite author, Catherine Center. I'm going to try and read a lot of her books, I think, this year. They're just fun. Like, they're just so easy to read. They're fun. You don't really have to think when you read it. Like, you just can like enjoy it. It's just all vibes, no thought. And they're the kind of books that I like in the summer. So I think I'm going to read a couple more of these lovely, exquisite Catherine Center books. Book that made me cry. Now, obviously, we all know, we all saw the video. Magnolia Park's Into the Dark made me cry throughout it, and there is nothing that will take those tears away. Nothing. The other book that's made me cry is Love in Other Words. There was just some cuteness in this. It just pulled at my heartstrings. I actually think this book got me out of a mini slump, to be honest. This reignited my love for books again. Favourite book to movie, TV adaptation? I'm gonna have to go with Big Little Lies. I know this obviously was adapted into a TV series a couple of years ago, but Liane Moriarty, everything she writes is just really good. It's really captivating, but it's like written in a, so they're obviously like thriller mystery books, but they're like written in a way that it's like normal life. Like, how do you do that but still keep me on tender hooks the entire time? I now need to watch Big Little Lies, because the reason I haven't watched it is because I wanted to read the book first. So I will be finding Big Little Lies somewhere and I will be watching it. Most beautiful book I read or bought, hands down. I'm sorry, this is just, it's stunning. It's a gold typewriter. Look, it's stunning. It really annoys me that the second one, Ruthless Vows, is blue cover, because it's like bright blue, because they don't really match when you put them together. So I'm sad about that, because I do also want that cover with the other typewriter, but I think I'm probably only going to keep this one. So yeah, this is definitely the most beautiful book cover that I have read. So the final tag is books I have to read by the end of the year. We have about 65 books on our TBR, so all of those probably should be read, or the majority of them need to be read by the end of the year. However, I've picked 3. The first one is my other most favourite cover to ever exist on the shelves that I own, is Circe by Madeline Miller, mainly because I said I was going to read this last year. I haven't read it yet, and I need to read it, but I want to read it at a time when I can annotate it, because I'm hoping I'm going to love this book and I'll be able to annotate it, but this copy is never going anywhere. I also love that it comes with its own bookmark. Don't even need to put one in there. Going along the same theme is Ruthless Vows. Now this cover, right, nothing special on it, there's no gold thingy, but this is a much prettier cover and goes much better with the black. Like, why did they make the other one blue? Anyway, I would like to read the second one in the Divine Marvels duology, which is Ruthless Vows, because then I will have completed another series and I will be really happy with myself. I also really liked Divine Rivals, and I'm sure I'm going to like this one too, but again, need to make sure it's at a time when I've got time and can sit down and can annotate it. I'm trying to get a little bit further ahead on my Goodreads goal before I start doing those things, because they take up a bit more time, because I don't like to rush them and I like to take my time with them. So yeah, this one I would like to have read by the end of the year. And finally, last but very much not least, NW by Zadie Smith. I have had this and White Teeth on my shelf probably for the last 2 years, and I have never even thought to pick either of them up. I need to read at least one of them this year, just to prove I can do it. There's no reason why I haven't read this, apart from the fact that every time I go to pick up a book, I just think this is going to require way too much brain power from me, instead of just reading it. That is my mid-year tag. I have a feeling Georgia will probably be doing her own one, and if she hasn't, then I will be telling her to do her own one. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. If you like this, Don't forget to like and subscribe and tell all your friends about us. We've got some exciting videos coming up, including my birthday vlog, which will cover like all of the birthday activities. Thank you for joining, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.